Welcome to Reading the Bible with Pastor. Today we're in Mark chapter 7, starting at verse 24. What defiles a person? Jesus answered that last time by saying it's not what goes into a person that defiles them, but what comes out. Basically saying that, hey, it is not what you touch or what you do that makes you unclean. You are unclean by your sinful actions. We're going to get to see Jesus put those words into action here. We're going to hear about someone who is apart from the Israelite faith. The Israelites are the people of God, the chosen nation, to be a priestly nation to the nations. But they don't act like that. Instead, they close themselves off and put themselves apart from the other nations, the Gentiles, to prove themselves as better and other people as less. So we're going to see how Jesus responds to that type of mentality. And from there, Jesus arose and went away to the region of Tyre and Sidon. So he is moving north and west. And he entered a house and did not want anyone to know, yet he could not be hidden. It's a good point here to remind ourselves that Jesus is not telling everybody all things, and he's asking them to stay quiet and not tell everybody what is going on. Reason being is that Jesus doesn't want them to get the wrong message, to spread something that isn't true about who he is. He's not just a healer, he's not just a wise man, he is the Son of God. But again, people don't realize that's the case, and so he tells them, be quiet, don't tell everyone. And here we're also reminded that he is man, he's both God and man, and sometimes he does need time to just have some space, just like we all do. But immediately a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him and came and fell down at his feet. And I pause there about woman. Most of the time in this day and age, the men and women didn't interact with each other like this, where she would just come into his area uninvited, and she fell at his feet. So again, there's a little bit of separation there, and we're going to see how God interacts with that cultural separation. Now, the woman was a Gentile, and again, another cultural relevant information here. She is not part of the Israelite faith. So again, that would put another bit of distance between Jesus and her, especially somebody who is as righteous as Jesus is. He should be opposing her, putting her away. And she's a Syrophoenician by birth, so that makes her a Roman in this province. And so not only is she not Jewish, she's a Roman, and she's a Gentile and a woman. And so very much a separation between the people of God, Israel, and her. And how is God going to react when the Israelites would say that she is unclean? And here's her request. And she begged him to cast the demon out of her daughter. And he said to her, now, what might Jesus say to a woman who's come to him and said, please heal my daughter of the demon that's in her? This is what he says. Let the children be fed first, for it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. Not the answer that I would have thought that Jesus would have said. He's basically saying, look, I'm not taking care of you. You are a dog, a pet. He's taking care of the children of Israel. But she answered him, yes, Lord. Yet even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. Even the pets in the household get taken care of, is basically what she's saying. And he said to her, for this statement you may go your way, the demon has left your daughter. And she went home and found the child lying in bed and the demon gone. Jesus uses his comments here to prove what he said earlier. He treats her horribly, but she acts in faith. She says, and out comes from her faithfulness. She didn't get angry, she didn't complain. She said, Lord, just help. Even the dogs eat the crumbs of the children's table. And because of her faithfulness, he acts. Even though she should be separated, he shouldn't even be talking to her, he acts for her because of her faithfulness. And in love, he acts for her, healing her daughter of the demon. Putting his words into action and showing that he abides by them. It's not what goes into a person or where they're from that defiles the person. It's what comes out of them. We're going to hear another healing that the Lord has, and this one is very dramatic in the way that it happens. Then Jesus returned from the region of Tyre and went through Sidon to the Sea of Galilee in the region of the Decapolis. So Jesus went from Tyre and Sidon, there by the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, and then moved south and east to the Decapolis. Decapolis means 10 cities. It's a region there by Israel. And they brought to him a man who was deaf and had a speech impediment, and they begged him to lay his hands on him. And taking him aside from the crowd privately, so again, the crowd has brought this man to him, and he takes the man by himself away from the crowd. He put his fingers into his ears, and after spitting, touched his tongue. And looking up from heaven, he sighed and said to him, Ephphatha, that is, be open. And his ears were opened, his tongue was released, and he spoke plainly. And Jesus charged them to tell no one. But the more he charged them, the more zealously they proclaimed it. Again, this goes back to what we had said earlier, that he tried to be in secret in Tyre and Sidon, and now he's going to the Decapolis and trying to tell people not to say anything, but that they want to, they have to. And I actually think this is appropriate when God does things in our life, that he blesses us and forgives us. Why do we stop up our mouth? We should be proclaiming he has done miracles for us, that he has forgiven us of our sins, he has given us a hope, he has given us assurance of life, and yet sometimes we are not like the people here. We shut up. We don't say anything, even though all things have been revealed to us about who Jesus is. These people have seen who Jesus is, and yet they zealously go out and proclaim him. Let's be mindful of that in our lives. And they were astonished beyond measure, saying, he has done all things well. He even makes the deaf hear and the mute speak. These are miracles of the Lord, and bringing forward things that probably they've never seen before in their life. Miracles that only the Son of Man is doing, making the deaf to be able to hear and the mute to speak. And remember, that's all a process by which the Lord is bringing the word to us, and then we are able to speak it as well. Much in our lives, the sin in our lives causes us to shut up. The Lord forgives us so that we may speak of his word. This miracle seems amazing, but it's amazing that he gives to us a cleansing, a healing that allows us to speak and proclaim his word. We'll pick up next time with Mark chapter 8. Mark chapter 8 begins a new swing in the trajectory of Christ's mission and his ministry here on earth.